Movies are starting to feel like movies again. The Odyssey, Obsession, Dune. Recently, there's been a trend to complain about the state of modern cinema.
What the f is a movie now?
I've even been guilty of this myself, but lately, I've been feeling more hopeful, because recently we've been given a handful of studio blockbusters that are creative, original, and above all else, well made. They genuinely feel like what cinema should be, and right now, the industry is on a precipice. A crossroads between a future that looks pretty bleak, and a more positive future that could see a renaissance in blockbuster filmmaking. We can either get the good ending, or the bad ending.
That part is a little dramatic.
But for now, we need to understand what exactly is making movies feel like movies again. Let's start with maybe the first thing you'll notice, cinematography. There's a big difference between stuff like this
Humans were finally able to fight fire
and stuff like this. And in this case, I think it's best to define this type of good cinematography by what it isn't. The type of movies I'm talking about here, they don't have the Netflix look. You probably already know what I'm talking about, this kind of washed out, low contrast, uninspired cinematography, and it's not exclusive to Netflix or streaming. The foreground is crisp and clear and the background is super blurry. The colours are always quite muted and never particularly vibrant.
You ever ask Lila what she wants?
I've heard people say this is a problem of digital cameras rather than celluloid film, but it's not. Digital cinematography can look great. One of the best looking films of the past few years was shot digitally, The Batman. Rather, the Netflix look is caused by people taking the easy way out, by going for clarity rather than inspiration, a clean look rather than anything gritty.
Some motherfuckers still trying to ice skate uphill.
They just get everything in frame and in focus and call it a day, rather than use visuals to enhance the storytelling or mood. It's like a fake luxury good. At first glance it's okay, but if you actually look deeper at what's on the screen, there's nothing interesting there.
Spooky, right?
It's a low effort, good enough mindset that makes everything look bland and the same.
And then?
Compare the new Devil Wears Prada to the old one, Wicked to The Wizard of Oz, or any live-action Disney remake to its animated original. But this is also an effect of the distribution platform. Today, not every film is designed to be seen in cinemas. Obviously we have streaming movies, but increasingly even theatrical films are quickly released digitally only a few weeks after they release. And because of this, they lower the contrast so the film can be viewable in any situation. On a crappy laptop in your bedroom, on your phone on a bright train, or a 10-year-old TV in the other end of your living room. It's as if the filmmakers view actually shooting the film as an inconvenience rather than a tool to be used in service of the story. For the type of movies I'm talking about, the art of cinematography is lost. So on the flip side, what does good cinematography look like?
And action.
Well, it's cliche, but you know it when you see it. It's colourful visions of deep space, impressive one-take shots, this orange-drenched scene from Dune, or this breathtaking scene of a quarry in The Brutalist. All of these images I'm showing you now look a million miles away from the Netflix look. But I'm not a camera guy, so I'm not going to try and break down the more technical aspects of cinematography. But what I can talk about is how these films seem to have a level of ambition to their visuals. They try new things, like shooting the movie on 20 iPhones so we get these completely unique effects. Filming the whole movie on massive IMAX cameras. Or shooting in VistaVision to create more sharpness and clarity. It's filming from the inside of fighter jets while they're in the air, mounting the camera to Batman while he's in the air, shooting as if it's from an old VHS camera, and filming in infrared to immerse us in an alien planet. All of these decisions were risks. They weren't safe. It's a kind of indie movie ethos of trying new things and experimenting with the visuals just on a massive scale.
As big as the movie is, as epic as it is, he still shoots kind of like an independent film.
The cinematography in all of these kind of auteur-driven blockbusters is the opposite to the low-effort, bare-minimum ethos of the Netflix look.
Oh shit!
But it pays off. Any random scene from The Batman looks a million times better than the climactic final battle of Captain America. This ambition and inspiration proves that it's not just the level of contrast and colour that's the problem, but the entire approach to filmmaking. And to put this in context, we can look at the trailer for Digger.
How long would you say she has? Between 2 weeks and 5 minutes?
This is quite washed out, the contrast is low and the colours aren't particularly vibrant, and these are all hallmarks of the Netflix look.
Is that all the bad fucking news?
But it still looks pretty good.
Bang, bang, bang!
Because of the set design, because of the blocking and framing.
Woo!
Here, the low contrast visuals seem to be a deliberate choice by the director and cinematographer.
They already know the story.
They know the back.
On the other hand, we can look at the Avengers Doomsday trailer.
Something's coming.
Visually at first glance, it actually looks okay. The colours are fairly vibrant and there's a decent level of contrast. But the blocking and framing leave something to be desired. I mean, just compare this shot to this shot from Doom. And this low-effort approach to cinematography is a key part of that bleak future I talked about in the beginning. But for now, I think what the Netflix look ultimately comes down to is a director of photography. Good directors pick good cinematographers, and it's people like Greg Fraser, Hoyt van Hoytema and Linus Sandgren that are integral to how these films look.
Look at that color.
They work closely with the director to execute a genuine vision in how they want this story to be told. It goes beyond just looking good, but putting the time, effort and planning into working out the best way to tell this story visually. On the other hand, the bad ending might not even have directors of photography.
That's bad.
Anyway, this overly safe Netflix mindset isn't just limited to the visuals. Films aren't made by a director alone, and a key filmmaking skill is working with talented collaborators. A great example is Ludwig Göransson.
Can you hear the music? Yes, I can.
All of his scores become a key part of the movie. He can effortlessly switch between an experimental propulsive sound, a kind of tribal imbued sci-fi score, to outright blues tracks for sinners. And it's the same for editors.
You're a dilettante, a womanizer, a suspected communist. I'm a New Deal Democrat.
Jennifer Lame is a key reason why Nolan's most recent films feel different than his previous work.
If you want security, build a town, build it fast.
Where?
She imbues a sense of narrative clarity and momentum to films that are quite long and non-linear.
Klaus Fuchs, the British scientist that you put onto the implosion team at Los Alamos.
Oppenheimer is a 3-hour movie of people talking about science, but she edits it with the same intensity as an action movie.
What I meant.
And wouldn't the Russians do anything to increase their strength?
Patrice Vermette is the production designer on the Dune movies, and his work is integral to the film's identity. It's the same with Paul Lambert, the visual effects supervisor on Project Hail Mary, whose team creates truly unique and breathtaking visuals that make this film's version of space feel different to any other that came before.
It's beautiful.
What I'm trying to get at is the reason movies are starting to feel like movies again extends beyond just how they look into every aspect of their construction.
We ain't gonna kill every last one of you.
It's the work of skilled filmmakers in all departments that combine to make these films as good as they are.
I don't really have any skills whatsoever.
But it's not the only reason. Because while these movies are world class on a technical level, it's all underpinned by their story.
It's original ball for an original guy. It's a Marty Supremo, not the Marty normal ball.
Basically all the movies I'm counting as these kind of auteur blockbusters are more or less original.
It's from an original Egyptian pyramid.
Marty Supreme, Sinners, Obsession are all completely new stories invented for the big screen.
No.
But even then, they don't have to technically be 100% original to feel fresh and inspired. Dune, Project Hail Mary, The Batman, The Odyssey, Barbie, Oppenheimer. They're all based on existing stories, but still feel original.
In some ways, they're an improvement on the original.
And this is because of the reason these stories are being told. They're not just cash grabs, they're passion projects. They're built from the ground up by filmmakers because they have a genuine interest or connection to the story.
Is it true that this whole thing started when Robert Pattinson gave you a book of speeches?
After rapping on Tenet, Robert Pattinson gifted Nolan a book of Oppenheimer's speeches.
Where you're reading these great intellects trying to deal with the massive consequences of the way in which they've changed life forever for all of us.
After reading it, Nolan was fascinated by seeing this scientist trying to deal with the consequences of what he's unleashed upon the world. He was inspired.
And I really got hooked on the story.
So he began making a movie about Oppenheimer. At every stage of production, from the initial spark of interest to its final release, Nolan was shaping this movie to be what he envisioned in his head when he read the book.
They might start a chain reaction that would destroy the world.
And how does the movie end?
We thought we might start a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world.
With the exact thing that sparked his interest. A scientist trying to deal with the consequences of what he's unleashed upon the world.
I believe we did.
It's the same with Top Gun Maverick, which by all accounts should be a cash grab legacy sequel like Ghostbusters Afterlife. But it's not, because it's got a passionate creative voice behind it in Tom Cruise.
Thank you for saving my life.
This is where the fun begins.
The Star Wars prequels, despite their quality, you can't deny there was a genuine vision and passion behind them from George Lucas.
Hello there.
But the sequels had no long-term plan and no real reason to exist other than Disney wanting to make more money from the franchise.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
And like the Netflix look, this could be pivotal to where Hollywood ends up if we get the bad ending, where any kind of human passion to tell a specific story is optimized out of the equation, in favour of business people and an algorithm deciding what stories can make the most money. But it's not all doom and gloom, because this year we got an interesting new example of originality: Backrooms. But I'm gonna pause for a moment, because like Obsession, this film needs a bit of a caveat.
You can eat them.
Neither of them are massively high budget, but I think they nonetheless fit into the category of movie I'm talking about because of the massive impact they had.
Can you tell me you love me?
They became blockbusters because of their outsized reception and 100% represent a film with a passionate creative vision behind it.
You were supposed to kiss me.
Anyway, Backrooms sees its origin from a 4chan post. Kane Parsons didn't invent the Backrooms, it's technically not an original project of his, but he's been making videos on it since he was 16. He's clearly passionate about this story and has undoubtedly made it his own.
You know, we have more information than ever. It's starting to mean less and less the more we get.
And in this case, the studio didn't just make the film because they thought it would make them money. They made the film because a filmmaker had a genuine vision for it.
Information is starting to get put through a blender and fed back to us in a way where the human race is now starting to roleplay as itself, it almost starts to seem.
Wall, and on the other side of the wall, the story just keeps going, you know, like a copy of itself.
Just as Nolan didn't invent Oppenheimer, but he was passionate about this story and that's why the movie got made. It wasn't a simple for-hire job where the director went through the motions and made the movie with as little effort as possible and no personal connection to it. It's a story Nolan and Kane Parsons built from the ground up, and they shaped it at every stage of production.
I've grown up seeing just like so many beloved IP just get torn to shreds by, you know, random suits in the industry who grab an IP, take it, pulverize it by giving it to some writer who knows nothing about the property, and then boom, it's dead and everyone hates the movie.
On the flip side, we have Doomsday. In a Marvel Studios boardroom somewhere, corporate executives decided they want another Avengers movie. So they hired a writer, hired a director, and announced the film. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. But then Jonathan Majors got cancelled and they pretty quickly changed their plans. And because it was originated by executives and the filmmakers on board were hired rather than building it from the ground up, no one was particularly attached to the story. So despite making an entire movie that was basically a setup to this film, they unceremoniously cancelled it. This proves that no one was particularly passionate about telling this story. It's just that Marvel Studios as a corporate entity wanted to make an Avengers movie because they knew it would make money. And downstream of this, every creative decision seems so boring and uninspired. Boring choice number 1. Instead of casting someone new as Doom, they bring back Robert Downey Jr. Boring choice number 2. Instead of hiring a new director, they get back the Russo bros.
Joe and Anthony Russo!
Boring choice number 3. They're bringing back the old X-Men, which might have been fun 5 years ago.
I love you guys.
But they already did this gimmick.
Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point.
Every creative decision behind the production of this film just seems so cynical and uninspired. At no stage was any creative filmmaker passionate about telling this story the way Nolan was for Oppenheimer or Kane Parsons was for Backrooms. And you can expect this utter lack of creativity in favour of a machine-like objective of just printing as much money as they can as a key staple of Hollywood's hypothetical bad ending. And so, the question remains, is this a good strategy? Well, we'll see how Doomsday does when it releases, but for now, let's look at the commercial success rate for these auteur blockbusters. The highest grossing movie of the 2020s so far is Avatar 2. And say what you will about Avatar, it's hard to deny there isn't a passion behind it. James Cameron has been working on this world for 20 years and pushing the technology forward. I'd rather have more movies like this than like Doomsday. Top Gun Maverick made $1.5 billion. Barbie made just under this. Even Oppenheimer, a movie of people sitting in rooms talking about science, made just under $1 billion. The Dune movies all did well, the Batman did well, a 100% original movie like Sinners did well. Obsession, a movie made for $750,000, made almost $500 million. And sure, franchise movies like Deadpool Wolverine perform well too, but it's undeniable there's a demand for genuinely good and original movies as well. After COVID, people are still willing to come to the cinema. They just need a good enough reason to see something on the big screen rather than streaming.
What do you mean, why? Do I need a reason?
And this reason can be the insanely positive word of mouth for obsession.
Yo, what the fuck?
A viral pop culture moment like Barbenheimer.
Oppenheimer first and then Barbie?
The pull of IMAX, which applies to a bunch of these movies.
Those shots are absolutely thrilling on IMAX.
People want the spectacle you can only get from a big screen theatrical experience, and that only really comes from a passionate filmmaker behind the camera pushing for this spectacle. I'm sorry, but Infinity Vision doesn't count. So yes, this strategy of giving talented filmmakers the budget they deserve to tell a story they truly want to tell is a winning commercial approach.
This is the Odyssey. Like, if ever there were a film you were going to do the whole thing on IMAX, this would be the one to do it.
And to their credit, the one studio that seems to realize this more than any is Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers have started auditions for the Ken movie.
This is the studio that let Dune, Barbie, The Batman and Sinners get made. They let Emerald Fennell make her vision of Wuthering Heights and let Maggie Gyllenhaal make a completely new take on Frankenstein with The Bride. They're letting James Gunn loose with DC and gave PTA $100 million to make one battle after another.
A semen demon.
That's correct.
They paired Robert Pattinson with Bong Joon-ho for Mickey 17.
You remember me, right?
As well as Tom Cruise in Inarritu for Digger. Woo! And this should make me optimistic.
Feeling good.
Everything we've talked about so far, a pushback against the Netflix look, the rise of passion projects, the success of these auteur-driven blockbusters, suggests we might be headed in the right direction. But then, something happened. With the Warner Bros. Paramount merger, it seems this crossroads I talked about in the beginning is rapidly approaching. So what does Hollywood do? It can go further and harder into franchises, keep making uninspired Marvel films, music biopics and video game adaptations. It can keep zombifying old IPs and weaponizing nostalgia to eke out as much money as possible from recognized brands.
Peter Parker.
But surely eventually, this reaches a point of diminishing returns. How many old movies can they reboot? How many more video games can they turn into a film? How many more musicians can they make a movie for? How many live-action reboots before they run out of animated movies? What's the long-term strategy here? We can only rely on brands and nostalgia for so long. There's only so many legacy sequels or franchise slop we can make. At some point, it will run out. It will eventually reach an event horizon where every old thing has been mined for all it's worth, where the walls of nostalgia, IP and franchise close in on each other and merge to create a kind of black hole of content where there's nothing left to reboot or adapt. So what happens then? This is when the crossroads arrives, the turning point between a filmmaking future that I'm not sure I want any part of, and a future of genuinely positive, passion-driven movies. By now, you've probably got a pretty good idea of the path I want Hollywood to go down. This is the films I've been talking about. This is the good ending. So the question remains, what exactly is the bad ending? It's when the human element is taken out of the equation entirely. When the films being made don't come from any sense of passion or drive. When the stories being told aren't determined by an individual, but an algorithm. And if we go down this route, down this bad ending, I only see one natural conclusion. AI.
My lords and gentlemen.
A kind of Frankenstein's monster of content that automates filmmaking and is by definition without any passion or soul.
Every day, all I want is home.
AI-generated movies that are algorithmically engineered to hit all metrics and data benchmarks.
He was a good man!
Where the human element, the element that made us fall in love with movies in the first place, is phased out in favour of optimization, efficiency, and increasing the bottom line.
The rebellious war, begun in the province of Massachusetts Bay.
What kind of ending would you prefer? AI slop designed simultaneously for everyone and no one? Created by an algorithm that doesn't care about you and managed by people who want you dumb, broken, powerless? Or films like The Odyssey? Films like Obsession, films like Dune, movies with a passion behind them, driven by a director with a genuine interest in telling this story, supported by talented filmmakers in every department willing to try new things, to experiment with storytelling and push the boundaries of filmmaking technology. Movies with a genuine reason to be made beyond increasing shareholder profit. Movies with a cultural impact. Movies that are made to enrich, entertain and engage you, rather than just get your money. Movies that feel like what cinema should be. Movies that don't feel like content, but feel like movies.